I'll show you how to add a club directory to your website. All of these links are clickable and go to the listing on the Toastmasters International website. The data is automatically updated directly from Toastmasters International. It gets exported onto your website using an iframe. Let's get started. Before digging into the details, let's take a look at how it shows up on the website. In this case, I have it set up where all the clubs are grouped by the division, then by the city, and then the club name. Now, trying to think from the point of view of a visitor, a first-time visitor looking for a club who comes across our website, what would be the easiest way for them to find a club near them? Now, in the case of Division A, Charleston and North Charleston geographically are right next to each other, but alphabetically are far apart. Grouping it by division helps group by geography. Let's take another look at another example. In Division C and D, Columbia is in both divisions. It doesn't matter which one the visitor clicks, they'll see all the clubs in Columbia. This data comes from Toastmasters International's website into a Google spreadsheet. I'm using this import HTML formula. The only thing that you'll need to change, District 58 to whatever your district is. Now, the spreadsheet itself has a couple of formulas, and I've put them on the left-hand side of the data that gets imported. The formulas are in columns A through D. And the reason for this, as Toastmasters International adds columns to their club directory, if I had formulas to the right of this data, it would stop importing. An example of this is very recently, Toastmasters International added latitude and longitude. If I had formulas over there, then the data stops coming in. Let's take a look at one of these formulas. The formula says, make a hyperlink out of the club name, but also add leading zeros so that it will correctly form the link to the club. Now, if I hover over the link pop-out, at the bottom left of my browser shows what the link actually looks like. And it points to toastmasters.org, find a club, and the club number has a bunch of leading zeros. In this case, speaking out at the Y is club number 48, so it's got a bunch of leading zeros, followed by its club name. And all this stays updated automatically because the data comes from Toastmasters International's website. The city is a search for the city with a 25-mile radius. Now, this data from the spreadsheet is actually converted into a pivot table, and that's how it gets grouped by division, which is column A, then city in column B, and then the club name. Now, in column A, the division actually is not visible. I have to make this column wider to be able to see the letter A. But that text expander button, that doesn't show up on the website. And I know I want to make this mobile friendly, so I'm going to make that column as narrow as I can get away with it, because the A will fill where that text expander button is. How a pivot table works in Google Sheets is the rows are grouped by the division, the city, and then the club. And the filter at the bottom hides data that I don't want, such as blanks. The next step is to export the data to the web. In this case, I want to embed the data. Instead of the entire document, I just want the sheet, which is our clubs. And there's the iframe code that is used on the website that brings all this data in. That iframe gets inserted into, in this case, a WordPress website. If you're using WordPress, make sure you're on the Text tab when editing your page. Now, I've added a few things here. It's not just the iframe. I've added a style of border none and a width of 100% and a height of 2900. The other part of the iframe is showing the source. And that's part of that information that comes from the embedding the data. So the result is, on a website, everything is clickable, all the searches show a formatted link, and the data stays updated.